as the intro for this podcast, welcome to the Complete Athlete Podcast, where we. I like your intro.
You like my intro? I made that up on the spot, but yeah, where we get your player to the next level in their sport and in life. That sport being baseball. At some point, we'll have more sports because Zach Dykes does with his performance training. We actually have privates for tonight. He has a kid from Edina who is just doing soccer performance training, and then we got a football trainer on staff. We actually should interview him at some point, but he is quarterback, wide receiver coaching. Mike Mensing. I think he's a year older than us. Went to Blaine. Yeah,
see, that's the group of guys that I never got to meet. I was a Coon Rapids kid and then Spring Lake Park kid. So Blaine and I we always disagreed.
You didn't even play Blaine traveling or anything. It was just Coon
technically
Rapids.
We did. So me and Zach Dykes. Nate Dykes. Sorry.
Yeah.
You got me thinking. About
Zach works with us. Yeah.
Me and Nate, his younger brother, who's our age.
Yeah.
He and I played what was it was called North Metro.
Yep, I played North Metro.
But then they changed it to Blaine City area traveling because there were so many Blaine kids and 3 SLP kids: me, Steven Erlinson, and Nate Dykes.
Yeah.
So we got put on the B team.
What about Jake? Jake was on the A team because
Jake didn't play Blaine area traveling at that time. He was playing showcase baseball, so he was playing in a higher level tier. He was playing
Blizzard.
He was playing Blizzard, so he didn't have time for the same because we were playing at the same time. But he wanted to. His season was longer. I would keep up with Jay because he was a friend of mine. So that era was Blaine area. But that was the only connection I have to Blaine. Other than that, I don't know. I hardly know anybody from there. Alec Minkle.
Yep.
I know him, and then there's this other kid that we trained with that was a third baseman, tall, dark-skinned kid. He was really good, threw hard, probably 90 off the tee, if I had to guess. He just was a massively built dude. I wish I could remember his name.
That's all good.
He had a very generic white person name for a dark-skinned dude. It was really off-putting, I'm not going to lie, because he was the hardest working dude who was so soft-spoken that just killed it every time. So
nice. I don't know who that is, but
I wish I knew. But well, we're here to interview you, so we're here to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
You've been
on
doing
the hot seat.
Yeah, you've been doing a lot of the question asking. So here's a little bit about what the CA podcast is. This is the CEO. This is the guy who is the one who came up with this whole thing that we're talking about, training these kids. You wanted to build something that helped train kids in our area, North Metro, but baseball mainly. But I like your vision. So tell us about yourself, your background, where you started, and then what brought you here.
Yeah, a little bit about my background. So I grew up in the Blaine area, in the Spring Lake Park district, so South Blaine, right over by the Cloverleaf area. Played a lot at those parks growing up, doing the day programs of just going to the park, learning the game of baseball through whatever slow pitch softball or t-ball, doing all that stuff when I was little, at all those Spring Lake Park parks. And then as I was growing up, I think I played 2 years Little League, 1 year for the Cleveland Indians, 1 year for the New York Yankees. I think that was when I was 7 and 8. Maybe it was 8 or 9. I forget. Those 2 years, a lot of fun. Went through that, and then after that, I was I kind of want to play at the next level, so went into traveling at 10, but played up on the 11-year-old team. But I was young for my grade, birthday in August, so I was always younger than guys, just playing up from that standpoint. So, but still played with my grade level. And at that point, I think it was North Metro, which is what we were talking about before. And, played with guys like Andrew Height, who else? I don't know. There's a bunch of, but there was guys from Andover, guys from St. Francis on the team.
It was kind of a hodgepodge of people.
Yeah, and I feel like that's Soderville now, which might. It's basically we played at those Ham Lake City fields when we were just all dirt fields, and that's where we practiced.
That's where the tryouts were for the Blaine City area traveling team were.
Yeah, we actually had tryouts. After North Metro, I don't know if it was 1 or 2 years that it was North Metro, and then I think into 13s or something, it ended up being Blaine. No, 12s was Blaine. So I think myself and a few Spring Lake Park kids were with a bunch of Blaine kids, which I played with during Little League, which was fine. But we actually had tryouts at East Bethel Ice Arena all the way. Just think, like, yeah, they took out they took the ice out, and it was like kind of just really bad turf, and that was a fun
There's
tryout.
cement floor under that, and that's what the stupidest part about that is. Or even going into a gym is what I hate. Like when you're playing on hardwood, you're not getting the natural feel of baseball. So like playing in an ice rink isn't going to give you anything. Like you're not going to benefit from that.
Yeah, no, it was definitely not optimal at all. I think one other year we did it at Spring Lake Park High School in the gym for the tryouts, which was kind of funny because all the Blaine parents were running the tryouts, and it was at Spring Lake Park High School.
At Spring Lake Park, yeah. Spring Lake Park got used by Fridley, Blaine, and like all the surrounding. St. Anthony used them too. Like St. Anthony was like, "Oh, we don't have enough facility for a wrestling team. Can we just join yours?"
Oh yeah, well the track and field team was with them too,
yeah,
and soccer, yeah, everything.
We got used. Spring Lake Park got used.
So that's
we
funny.
Got fleeced.
Yeah,
is what that is.
Yeah. Well, they got great facilities. Definitely should utilize it for renting out to people if it makes money for the district.
No, that's I think that's where the money is. I mean, they have one of the best football fields turf wise in the state, and I think that's a hot topic right now too, and we'll go through that later, I bet. But baseball wise, when you got to high school. So when you and I were on basketball teams together, But then when you moved to Totino, what was the difference between the culture? Because I know culture at Spring Lake Park baseball was non-existent. Coming from somebody who went from Coon Rapids, where it was the only thing, baseball was the biggest thing in that city. It was a culture shock coming to Spring Lake Park. So what was the difference between Spring Lake Park and Totino Grace?
Yeah, I would have to say. One with parent buy-in and one with player buy-in, and also just a culture of winning. When you're surrounded by people that, one, kind of hold themselves to more of a higher standard, that brings everybody up, whether they're, the low-hanging fruit of somebody who's not as good of a player, but they become better through that.
Yeah.
So it was fun being part of that culture. It was harder, to be honest, because I didn't really know where I fit in as far as playing wise. Like I knew I was a good pitcher from that standpoint. I didn't necessarily have the velocity that I probably should have had.
Your knuckle curve still to this day made a lot of other kids on our team when we played you guys later. Luckily for me, you and I had played together and like done trainings and stuff together. So I had seen you at least enough. Any pitcher that I thought I'd seen enough, I would be like, I'll be fine. But it's a tough thing too when you play a person you like. So,
well, thanks, Taylor.
I can't say I didn't like when
I get up there though. I don't like anybody. No, I'm up there to win.
And I could tell that like the competitive nature comes out in both of us. I mean, we played basketball against each other. You moved that year as well. Like same thing happened in sophomore year. Yeah. We played against each other. It's just I forgot, for a second until all of a sudden I see the knuckle curve. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Gabe. And I'm like, okay, we're in this at bat now.
Yeah.
But the culture, it's got to be a huge culture shock. It's got to feel good though, like that step up, like you said, like making people better.
Yep. And it was. I mean, from a school standpoint, it was. I mean, a lot of public school people would be mad at me saying this, but it was just like everybody wanted to be there.
Yeah.
Everybody cared.
Yeah.
I mean, when it sucks when you're paying for something that usually you care more.
Yeah.
Yeah. From that standpoint.
And that's a culture thing, I think, with a lot of private schools. I mean, they're allowed to do that type of thing. But with certain public schools like Coon Rapids or namely Maple Grove and Mounds View, who are notoriously good baseball schools, like they don't have to recruit outside. They've just built that culture, and I think
it starts from a Little League, though.
It really does, and their Little Leagues have always been good. Egan, Edina, Mason talked about that. Like when me and Mason coming from Coon Rapids Little League think about other cities, it's Edina, Egan, Maple Grove, Mounds View. Like those are the guys
for baseball.
That built that legacy though. So
we didn't really have that with Blaine Area Little League, and I think it partially after conversations having that with people, it's because there's just the traveling and the Little League don't really work together.
No.
So that's the unfortunate part. And it's two different communities, Blaine and Spring Lake Park. So it's kind of hard to agree on things.
Yeah, and there's such a wider base in Coon Rapids. Like there were 3 different leagues that were all in the same Coon Rapids National, Central, and American. Like I could go play at two different parks and still be in Coon Rapids. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that was a part of that Little League culture that they built. They like built that up from the
Yep.
beginning. So you're saying that I mean, I noticed it too when I came over, but the Blaine City area just doesn't have as much of a baseball culture built into it.
Yeah, I mean, I see all the kids in the youth teams and whatnot and where they're at. Like the 13 AAA team last year won state,
Okay.
like for traveling. So I think it's getting better. And I think it's all the new developments popping up.
Right.
You know, like
Right.
there's a lot of new homes being built. So over the last 10, 15, 20 years, those kids have started getting into, you know, the middle school, high school age. And that's why Spring Lake Parks program is getting better. And like,
Yeah.
that's one of my
Yeah.
other missions that we'll probably get into is like making that program better. Cause I played for them briefly with traveling in high school. But one of the reasons why I left was because it wasn't there. Like, but I'm trying to help create that for the group, and we have the talent. It's more of creating the culture of, you know, when you show up at the baseball park, you're ready to work and you're ready to get better and you're ready to get your teammates better, you know.
That goes very well in hand with I think the message that you're sending with the complete athlete training. Like, it's not just where it starts. We're here at training, we're getting better. It's like, no, it goes beyond that. Like, there's more to the training programs and the culture that you're trying to build than just showing up and working hard when you're there. Like, yeah, I can tell that you want to build an image for these guys outside of that. So, Sam Knight had a good question for you.
Okay.
How's the CEO trainer / coach balance? How's that balance for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we're a little over 2 years into this thing, and I get a lot of energy when I step into the training realm and do privates and things like that, because I can see in 5-10 minutes of, you know, implementing a drill or getting a kid to do the correct things, and once they do that, I get a lot of energy from that. But it is hard juggling it. I've kind of given my guys what they're good at, their expertise, let them kind of run with it. I do want some guys to step up from that standpoint of like, if you like from a coaching and training standpoint, like I've let the guys kind of pave their way of like how they would like to do things. But I guess it's kind of a round table type thing where we need to have a conversation of like, what are you good at? How are you going to get that across the kids? And we're going to go from there. It is a hard balance, though, because there's lots from the business side of things of like growing this thing and the marketing, and we were just talking about scheduling stuff. That's what I do by day, and then I come around lessons at night, like I'm just about to do right after this, and it's tough to juggle, but I have a great team to rely on, so it's you're only as strong as your weakest link, and we got a great team. So
I can tell that you've been very careful about who you've chosen. I mean, you can tell a vibe about somebody, but you can't tell how good they're going to be around these kids until you see them work with them. And I think you having, somebody shadow, like the last time I showed up, you had somebody shadowing one of your coaches. That's something that normal businesses do. Like normal 9-to-5 businesses, banks do that. Like, so when you're learning from somebody who is already doing it and you're kind of seeing the culture that they've built, like you're showing them, hey, this is what we would like do you fit in? Yeah, I like that style. Like, I feel like that's going to help you build the culture here where you're like, we really care about building something, worthwhile.
Yeah, I want guys to, like, as far as our trainers and coaches go, is want to show up, 2, like, have a great time when they show up, and 3, also have some ownership in it that they can help create something. Because, there's other organizations out there that, these guys could train at or work for and things like that, and they've kind of already... A lot of them already maybe been around for a decade or 15 years, and so they've already, like, they're just being slotted in to be, like, fill the gaps and things like that.
Right. And
not really, I want these guys to feel like they can create something. Like your brother, I mean, he's been around for 2 years, and I've kind of been like, you can help create this culture, That's kind of where we're at. It's
changed his attitude, I will say. I think that's something that's, as his brother, like I'm his older brother, I've noticed, growing up with him and the baseball that we played, like the emphasis that we had on how much care was put into training and stuff like that, we noticed the drastic difference when we got here. So I can tell that Mason wants to make that impact, and he sees that, like, now he can see his impact visibly.
Yeah.
You can go to his training sessions and you can see like these kids respond to him, and he's just very even keel, but then he cracks some jokes, and all of a sudden this session's over and he's like, all right, we got you next time, buddy. And you're like, man, that was fun. And I sat there and just watched him have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Mason ever shows up and thinks it's work, which is great. We don't want that to be like that around here.
Hell yeah. So with that, what are your goals beyond just helping grow the game of baseball in the North Metro? I mean, with CA, like, what do you envision? Like, I know I have a lot of ideas of production stuff I could do, but what are your biggest visions for this? Like, how big do you want this thing to get?
Yeah, we definitely want to work with the whole Twin Cities area, have a well-rounded, renowned training system that, association teams can plug their players into and do small group trainings, private trainings, all that stuff. Definitely want to work with, well over 1,000 kids per year.
Okay.
That's one of my visions. We probably work with about 200, 300 kids per year right now.
So trying to really ramp up and really, I mean, you're going to have to get more coaches.
Ultimately get into our own facility, which that is a goal. Where it's outfitted for us, where we can do the things that we want to.
Really customize everything in there, because just the dome itself, having, what you guys have with the training tools, I think are amazing, which I should probably do a walkthrough as like a production style thing. Got
a lot of stuff, always adding new stuff here,
which is awesome. I mean, the video and the intro doesn't do it justice, because that's the warehouse, right? That you guys keep talking about.
This right here?
Oh, well, in the intro.
Oh, yeah.
How it's got...
when Evan's doing his stuff,
is that the old warehouse?
Yeah, dude.
Okay, so like I like that, because that's humble roots. Like that's where like you can just see in the intro of the podcast like where we came from.
Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah, no.
But then now it's like, look at all the stuff we got. It's got a bunch of CA stuff.
I know. He's got his gear on. That
didn't take long. I thought it would take a little bit longer to get that hoodie. Honestly,
I don't know. I always think things are long because I want perfection, but it is what it is.
Well, and these kids are probably harping on you for I mean, you talk about the jerseys a lot, so like, these kids must really get on you for the jerseys.
We're gonna have to do it's just when we get new jerseys. When do we get new jerseys? And I'm like, guys, we got jerseys. I outfitted this amazing hat,
right?
Which I love it. But no, we're gonna keep getting better. We're gonna have to do like how you're gonna do a walkthrough with all of our stuff. Like we'll have to do a walkthrough of season by season how jerseys grow, because I mean these kids. Well, the younger kids, our 12U through 14U kids will play on our spring team in March and April.
Okay.
Tryouts February 17th, 7 to 9 p.m.
Be there, boys. If you're late, you're not going to make the team.
100%. But those uniforms are going to be a step up from our fall stuff, and it's going to keep growing from that standpoint.
They were literally just talking about it downstairs, Sam and Maddie. I mean, they were like, oh, we got to do pinstripe jersey.
Yeah.
I mean, their passion for it is really nice, because they it seems like,
hey, if they have any artsy skills, like draw something up for me. I mean, I already have it all in my head, which I'm going to tell our uniform designer. But
okay. Oh, I will say that like there's some customization options that you can see in like MLB The Show, and I was sitting there like trying to make the hat the other night, and I was like, all right, what could I do to make the jersey even more interesting? I might have to send you some ideas.
Well, I mean, you are the video producer guy and video editor, and you're telling me you're going to do some videography stuff. So I mean, you're a jack of all trades at this point.
Yeah, and that kind of goes into the next question. Maddie, in all caps, wrote, "Can you give me a raise?"
Maddie.
Well, I think he was talking about everybody too, but I think he was just like, when can we get a raise?
Yeah, I mean, he's been around for what, 4 months here? I mean, he's maybe 6 month review here. We'll see, Maddie.
Mid-year review. I'm on my annual review for my company right now.
Yeah, so annual review. Yeah.
Aren't those fun at like financial institutions? Aren't those just wonderful? They're like looking at every number instead of actually talking to you about what's going on.
That sounds fun. I was at a small firm, so they didn't really do that, but they did. I mean, obviously want to look at your performance from standpoint, but
and they get really like analytical about it.
Well, yeah, when you're at a big institution like you're at, but
it's scary. Like I didn't go through licensing because of that, because I would have been scrutinized by FINRA and the FBI. And I'm like,
the FBI, SEC. I mean, Yeah.
You know what?
It doesn't matter.
Clearly, the book that they gave me to learn that stuff didn't work because I didn't want to go through it.
People are like, "What are they talking about?"
Yeah, it's way over my head still too. So don't worry, it's okay. But yes, I've been producing stuff for CA, and this has been a lot of fun. So like,
Yeah.
I think it's cool to talk about how this started because we were at a golf tournament, and I was listening to you, Sam, and my brother, Sam Crick. We were at the 3M.
Oh yeah.
We were on the 18th hole, and we were all just we drank a little bit,
Water.
a lot of water. We were very hydrated.
Water.
We were hydrated, very hydrated. But it was a good conversation because I was listening to you, Sam, and Mason talk about baseball and talk about development, and you guys were very. I mean, you didn't know, but like I was listening to think about like what would you guys sound like with microphones in front of you?
Yeah.
What would a podcast sound like with you guys talking about these ideas you have to implement, getting these kids better?
Yeah.
What would that sound like? And also, you guys are funny as heck. So I just really
man.
I just wanted to see what Sam Crick, you, and Mason sounded like on a podcast. Honestly, like, but that's where I had the idea, and I just pitched it to you, and I was like, "What do you think?"
Yeah. No, I mean, it's funny. I don't know if we mentioned this. Crick had the idea for a podcast like a year and a half ago.
Did he? Oh, that's right.
And Crick's like, we got to do this. We got to get, we got to get our players on here. We got to promote them. Like when they're doing good in their training sessions or on games, like, and that's what our next episode will have a special guest player who performed really well at our Asheville, North Carolina tournament a few weekends ago.
Thanksgiving. That's right.
Yeah. So, no, that's a different one.
Oh, okay.
Like our next podcast, like literally right after I'm hopping on here, is one of our 15-year-olds on our 16U team.
Nice. Okay, perfect.
And he like, he had like a. We'll get into it later.
All right, yeah, I'll let you.
Crazy,
no spoilers.
Yeah, no, crazy weekend. Like, especially like, yeah, we'll get into it later.
That's good. Well, it just means that like the idea was already in place. Like Sam clearly knew that you guys had something, and I think that's something that I said right away. I was like, "You guys are funny. Just get these mics in front of you. I'm gonna keep pushing you to like up anytime that we can."
We're just a doorknob here.
I know, but at the same time,
at least I probably am. But
we can up the production value, and I think it would like push people to be like, all right, well, what more could we see? Because like, the only thing I think of production wise is like, what more can we do? Like, what more can we get? How much more impact can we make? And that's just like a coach. So,
getting better every day.
Yeah,
1% better every day. We tell the boys.
I like this question that you had.
Okay.
What would you say your biggest accomplishment as a baseball player is?
Biggest accomplishment. Well, I do talk about this a lot with the boys when I see them play. But biggest accomplishment, my Legion season after senior year was probably my best baseball season to date. I went 7-0 with a 0.64 ERA, which is up in the state Legion records.
Nice.
Didn't strike out many guys, but I just pitched. I did strike guys out, but I pitched contact. So like I'd pitch, 6 or 7 inning games. We had a really good offense that year, so 10 run to a lot of teams. But I'd throw 59, 60 pitches in a 7 inning game.
That's the Maddox, if you ever call it that in 7. But
the Maddox. These younger kids don't even know who Greg Maddox is.
Greg Maddox.
Look up Greg Maddox.
He literally would throw 85 pitches in a game, in a 9 inning game.
9 inning game. Guys don't even throw 85 pitches in 6 innings these days.
Yeah, it's just because they're trying to mix it up too much. They're
trying to throw really, really hard.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and Greg was really good at going side to side, and I think that's what his change of speeds was hard to read because.
Yep.
I mean, a good sinker nowadays with a lot of tail and is fast, but like, it seems like it's getting barreled still. Like what Maddox did with lower speed was like placement. I think Mason did that even when he pitched. Mason doesn't have like the greatest overall velocity, but Mason can hit the exact spot, and it's going to jam you every single time or get you out on the end of your bat. And Greg Maddox didn't strike out a whole lot of guys either. So to your point, I mean, you could throw a very efficient game without pitching to strike out, pitching to contact.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, and we'll get into this more, but I was a different pitcher when I was a starter than I was a reliever.
You think so?
Well, I know so because I was a strikeout pitcher when I was a closer.
So how many closing situations did you really have, I guess, between your high school years?
Well, when I was a youth, I was specifically used to close games.
Close games, okay.
And then I was a starter more so I was still a starter on those teams, but if it was championship Sunday, gotta close out that game.
If you've already thrown earlier in the tournament, which a lot of the times in youth tournaments they throw their best pitcher in the first game. Like that's just kind of a strategy because it's like, well, if you lose,
unless they're risking it for the biscuit,
unless you're a good team, you'd have to be a really good team to know that you can't throw your best guy. Like,
yeah.
Like that means my second or third guy is just as good as their best guy because most teams, I mean, we always did in Spring Lake Park when we go to districts throw Jake.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jake was the only one that was going to throw that day. Like there was just no if I threw it, Jake would have came in later in the game. Like but I was a closer too. So did you ever get put in with bases loaded?
Mm-hmm.
No outs?
Yep.
I got put in that by Coach Mason not our Coach Mason.
Yeah.
The other Coach Mason.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
How fun. Do you didn't like those situations?
No.
I love those situations.
I would be in the outfield chilling, waiting for a fly ball in left field, which I was a better center fielder. And then we'd be down or we'd be up by 1 run and somebody would load the bases and then he'd just point out to left field before even coming out of the dugout. And I'm like,
big league it.
I'm just like, all right, fine. So I come in and there's always no outs, and I just have to close the game, and I don't remember ever them scoring. So that's a good sign, I think.
There you go.
I never remember those types of games because I was always so mad at him, at Coach Mason, that like it ruined any fun that I had in the game. Because he pushed every nerve that I had in the baseball game. Like, he would say things on purpose to make me mad. In practice, he would do it. Like, he kicked me out of practice one day because he was, like, trying to get us angry, and I bit. And I just bit so hard. And he was like, get out of here. The day before districts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Still played me the next day. I started right in left field against Tanner Schumacher.
Yeah, I watched that game.
That was the one that Jake hit a home run into another stratosphere. I mean, that ball didn't land until the camera zipped away on the North Metro screen, and they come back and they're like, "Oh yeah, there's the ball."
That's great. I love it.
I was on third base.
Nice.
I
didn't have to do anything.
I thought the ball was gonna come at me. I was like, he scared the crap out of me. I like this one from Maddie as well. What role do offsite training platforms play in youth development?
Off-site training platforms.
I guess like other platforms that kids could be using other than baseball, or like other training mechanisms from like track or from like.
Oh, that's what he said. Track.
I don't know if he's specific, but maybe he did.
We were literally implementing track with a lot of our guys right now. Obviously, it depends on how often like a kid is in here. Like if they're training with us, 2 or 3 days a week, and they're not doing enough stuff outside of what we're doing, they need, like, we've had some parents ask, like, what can my kid be doing at home?
Okay.
And we used to put together folders for the kids. We found out a lot of the kids weren't utilizing them, like literally physical copies. That's what my coach gave me back when I was training hard, which I actually did utilize it. Like,
well, we're different era.
Yeah, different era. So mainly, I think it's a checks and balances of like holding kids accountable to get their work done and getting better outside of just coming here. Like, we're not, I mean, we have a lot of knowledge and we can give it to kids in an hour and a half time frame, but you got 24 hours in a day. 8 to 10 of those are sleep. Should be, these kids are growing. Rest and recovery is huge. Coach Zach Dykes talks a lot about that. Do less and get better. Like, that's what he does with his track athletes, which is one reason why he thinks that they're doing so well, is because they're getting more output and doing better in competition with doing less.
That correlation seems to just make a lot of sense, though. So like,
a lot of coaches think drive them, get them better, do more to get better. Which my college coach had the same mentality, because they think the more you keep a kid busy, the less time they have to get in trouble. And then
there is something to be said about that, but like when you're killing them mentally, like how you got to give them some reprieve. Like there has to be a moment where they can breathe themselves. Yeah,
I think offsite training stuff like track, with the Driveline program and other training programs that we implement here at Complete Athlete, is basically a checks and balances, and to give the kids who don't play other sports the accountability to get their baseball stuff done at home.
And if there's a way for you to track that,
it's through the app track that we use.
That's what I mean. It's like if that's utilized, I mean, then it just matters if the kids really, clearly they don't need physical, but they need something that they can.
And they're on their phone always, anyways. So instead of having that one tab for TikTok and then the other one for your workouts that you just use an hour a day,
that could work, and that could work. It's all about maintaining that balance though too, life and sport balance, and I think coaches are very aware of that, and I think you clearly are too. You want to make sure these kids aren't just focusing on what you're doing here, but then also being like, hey, you can do your stuff at home, and you're going to see the benefits of it. So so we talked about your daily routine, and we've talked about what your kind of past was like, but what about who you look up to? What got you to this spot? Like, who are the most 3 influential people that you would say you look up to right now?
Yeah, I don't know if I have 3, but for sure my dad. He was always the one playing catch with me.
Your dad's an awesome dude. I want to say, your dad's cool.
I remember the last time he threw BP to our team when we were 13. I don't know how old he was. Well, 15 years ago, so he was about 55. He never threw again after that because I think he threw like 250, 300 pitches that day, and his rotator cuffs gone. He couldn't play catch with me after that for the most part.
No.
Which is fine. I think at the age of 13, 14,
you're playing
all these kids should be playing catch with their friends and doing long toss with their friends anyway.
Their dad's not going to be able to match that velocity anymore, unfortunately.
Well, or catch it because their eyes are going.
Well, you said he was using a
1960s glove,
You mentioned that on the last podcast. Like, the ball just hit him in the chest, bro.
Yeah, it went through the webbing into the chest multiple times. He would try and restring it and catch with it again, and just didn't work out.
I love your dad.
So my dad, Zach Greinke, another guy I look up to.
Hell yeah.
He's a gamer. Obviously, a lot of people think he's weird and whatnot, but but pitchers are weird.
Pitchers are weird. They're like kind of like punters. I told this to my brother. Like, they're a specialized group, pitchers.
Yeah.
So Zach Greinke, though, that's like, he's so unique. I love the stories, hearing about like all the weird stories that they've talked about of Zach Greinke.
Did you hear about the story about him like literally telling his manager that he should be in the field and be in the hitting lineup?
Yeah, I remember. He's like, "Don't you think I'm good enough?" And the coach is like, "No." Like, what do you think? He's like, I can hit.
He did hit some bombs when
I don't know, man. That guy, I think he has that like kind of like squirrely eye look to him, where like
he's got some screws loose.
Yeah,
sure.
Like where you're on the mound, you're like,
yeah.
I'm
real glad he's back in KC because he left there on a really bad note back then.
He's been on so many teams. That's crazy.
Brewers,
KC, Dodgers,
Diamondbacks.
He's on the Angels.
He was not on the Angels.
He was on the Angels.
That was Noah Syndergaard recently, but yeah. Also, we didn't really get in. So I told you like we want to serve over 1,000 athletes.
Oh, that's right.
But we also eventually it's kind of been on the back burner for a while, but we have actually one of my good friends who I met through my wife. He's like an operations type guy. My cousin, who's a weight training type guy, and then a sales guy down in who also played baseball down in Iowa growing up. They're all down in Arizona. We want to open up a facility down there once we get things rolling here the next few years. So yeah, we'll
2 sites.
Yeah, we'll have Complete Athlete Arizona and Complete Athlete Minneapolis. That's the goal. I mean, obviously that's a very large goal. But we eventually want to be able to, like, our guys up here can in the winter go play tournaments down there in Arizona,
and then have the reach of the coaches at least close so that they're not feeling like, hey, we're Zoom calling everything.
Yeah, but have a performance gym down there, all the skills training that we have going on up here. But it'll take like a special group of guys to get things going, and I think we have that in the horizon within the next 3 to 7 years, I should say.
Well, that's a good game plan, because if you're trying to expand, not just in Minnesota, I feel like going outwards is going to help, and finding good coaches is the main thing. I think you have the right idea.
And I'm super excited because tomorrow night the operations guy, they're coming here for the weekend. We're going to go to the Minnesota-Iowa game on Saturday.
Heck yeah.
But I'm going to show him our training spot here because he hasn't seen it. He's just heard.
So should I just like leave all my stuff here so they could see? Oh yeah, this is where we do the podcast too. Like you want to?
Nah, I'll show them the room for sure if
Hell
it's
yeah.
open. But yeah,
I know there's probably so many people here like walking by that are probably like, when we first got here, there was still
yeah,
some
they were
people-
still working, dude. I had to shut the door. You were being loud. I was like, oh, we're literally talking about like the Vikings and stuff, and
I'm like that at my own work too, and people will be like shutting doors, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like I get animated. All right, talking about the
same
Vikings,
here, man.
especially
Same here.
after one of the greatest games we've ever seen. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, that was pretty sick. That'd be sweet if we could pull up clips.
I know,
But yeah.
but the NFL would be like, they
Can't
get
use
they get
these,
really
yeah.
mad about licensing, and that's something I guess I can help teach you guys about with
Yeah.
with the whole podcast thing and media production side that I'm good at. I've been pitching ideas to Mason. He's been like, yeah, tell him to Gabe.
Tell them the game.
Well, like the behind the scenes stuff that we could be doing, like at
Yeah.
these traveling baseball games, miking up coaches.
Yup.
Hopefully they stay PG, but if not, like I can edit stuff out. Like it's not that hard. But
All right. So what, you giving us a mic or two to put on our?
I have a feeling I could find something.
We
like
got
that.
we got our Fort Myers tournament December 2nd and 3rd, and then we got the Vegas tournament a week after that. So
For what it's worth, it's just like it's about getting somebody production wise to get out there and film, but then also know how to set up the audio and everything. So
you wouldn't just be able to get. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
we
do have Tucker's mom. She photographs all the games, but
right.
she doesn't do the video. So
That's the thing I could easily do as well. But I think next summer, I'm going to show you what I can do with that once I get all the equipment that I'm looking for.
yeah,
Because the production stuff is something I'm very passionate about, not just with my podcast, but with your guys'. Because I want to help grow Complete Athletes brand marketing wise if we can, because I like what you got going here. So
appreciate it, man. Thanks for the kind words.
Besides just with all the you wrote so many good questions here. It's really hard to pick from all of them. I like
That's fine.
introvert or extrovert. That's a good one.
I used to think I was the biggest extrovert, but it's so funny because like, when you're, it was funny. We were doing like a team building type thing in college at Jamestown, and we were in a room and like the coaches were asking us like, how do you show your like emotions on the mound as a pitcher? And like in my head, I think I'm like being super animated and stuff, but I'm just stone cold Steve Austin.
Yeah,
like,
you were like a killer when you pitched.
I just had that, like I didn't talk at all. I didn't like go, like some guys are like, yeah, like going crazy.
Yeah.
All that stuff was going on in my mind, but I thought I was doing that, but I wasn't. I'm just like straight to the point. Like
I never saw you even like
I was just super uber
after
focused,
you
yeah.
struck somebody out.
Yeah.
Like when we played you at Totino, I remember being in that away dugout, watching you pitch, and you would strike somebody out and you'd circle the mound, but you wouldn't.
Oh, my routine, yeah.
You would circle the mound and then go back, and then I wouldn't see you look at anything other than the ball as it's getting thrown around. Like you were like a drill, like a drone, just like I'm pitching now, like, and then in your head you're like, like that sounds like I could picture it now, but like when I remember playing against you, I was like, is that my friend or not? Like, who is this guy?
Yeah, so that's part of my like playing like persona, which I think a lot of guys need to like that we work with need to kind of find what makes them tick and get into that persona like when they're on the ball field. Some guys being light and loose and like animated, that's what gets them into that peak performance state. For me, it was my preparation, and I know this was the introverted extrovert question. I am an ambivert. I'm in between there. I feel like when I was younger, I was more extroverted, like doing fun stuff, being away from the baseball field and things like that. Yeah. But then as I've gotten older, I've been a little bit more introverted, just kind of get my work done, have fun with the boys at sessions. And I can either be introverted one session and then very extroverted the next. And
I guess that's the definition of
ambivert. Yeah, which I brought that up. You didn't think it was real, but
I was like, I always
it's not even a word.
I kept saying I was an extroverted introvert because I recharge at home, and that's something that Maddie said. It's like when you recharge away from people, like I don't recharge in large group settings. Like,
I do recharge in large group settings.
So that's what like brings out the extrovert in you. But then there's certain introverted qualities I think everybody in the world has now because of the pandemic. But
yeah, exactly. It was very hard for a lot of extroverted people when the pandemic hit
100%.
because they were just like their energy reserves were just like
The
down.
actors in Hollywood going fucking crazy.
I know because they need to be
Because they like, I need to be on something to perform, and it's like,
yeah.
are you literally so sad in your house with millions of dollars that you can't do nothing?
Yep.
That is a very sad fact. So
Yeah.
because like our worries are about baseball, like their worries are about something completely different.
I know.
So,
Hey, well, isn't it great that we get to worry about baseball though?
instead of anything else,
I'm actually not worried about it, but yeah.
But like, if, not worries the wrong.
Think
word,
about.
but think
think about baseball. You know,
I think about
kid sport.
I think about production, about how to build stuff that is fun
Yeah.
to watch. Like that's more of a fun activity than worrying about.
It's
like,
very fun creating something, which is what I've really enjoyed with Complete Athlete the last few years.
And I think that's a good testament to what this will be. Is like you're not just creating a podcast, you're creating more. You're creating,
Yeah.
you know, better.
We've already gotten. It's funny. There's this kid out in, I just know him as Kate. There's this kid that follows like all of our stuff. He's like a sophomore or something out in New Jersey. I forget somewhere on the East Coast. And the kid wants to make a run for college baseball, and he's already started listening to our podcast and following our Instagram and everything. And this is over the last. I'm pretty sure it's like he's first contacted me after one of our podcasts
came out. See, we're already making and the thing I like about numbers with the podcast already is the watch time.
Yeah.
So the amount of hours that people watch.
See, I don't even know these numbers. I just see the views.
I get to see it because you made me a manager on the account, and that allowed me access to YouTube Studio where I get to look at numbers, and I like seeing what our reach is. So far the subscribers have jumped up. We have 24.9 hours of watch time. So people have watched over 20, like almost a full day's worth of just us sitting here and talking about stuff.
And we've only gotten 4 podcasts out, and they're like what each like 35 to
the longest
55 minutes,
54, but the shortest one's 33, and that's the 33 one is Coach Sam, and Sam has the most successful.
Oh, don't let it go to his head. But
I already told him downstairs. That's kind of how I was like, bro, you have the most popular one so far, and he's like, all right.
Pumping him up a little bit.
Sam is
I don't know. He's probably like, what? Give me more credit. But I'm like, dude, I'll be honest, like I didn't know that was going to be the best podcast so far, but it has. Hey, we got plenty more to trumpet coming. So.
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, that's the thing is once we get more microphones and all of you guys here,
I know.
that banter is going to be so good. I mean, the intros are great because this is about learning about who we are, but who you guys are coaches-wise with Complete Athlete. You know, if we can introduce you guys, show what you guys are about, and then get everybody in a room just talking, having fun.
Yeah.
Doing the round table thing.
That's what it's
about. Yeah. So that was my vision for you guys. Was really just to get you guys all in a room where you guys could talk about something, but then have it on paper. Or on paper. It's
just like we're doing right now.
Exactly. But then you can go back and be like, hey, we talked about this. This is what we were.
Yeah.
This. It's like it's going to complete everything that I think you guys are looking for. I like this question too. What do you think baseball is going to look like in the next 10 years?
Yeah, so I'm going to agree with Coach Maddie on this when I talk to him. So data's really so we graduated in 2012, right? It's 2022, almost 2023 now. In that span of time, like I think the data stuff really started coming out in 20.
Yeah, like the sabermetrics was like
2016, 2017.
Yeah,
really big. Facilities like Driveline came up. We use a lot of their stuff. But I don't know. I feel like just hearing, especially this year in Major League Baseball, I think everything goes from where Major League Baseball is at. So like obviously Major League Baseball started implementing a lot of the data stuff, and then it started going down in the college organizations and some high schools. Other high schools are late to the game, but then it's even infiltrating into some youth associations, very minimal, but the club sector for sure. I think it's going to now with this last year, the batting averages being way down.
Yeah.
Guys throwing the ball hard. I know Brock, he was just on saying, guys are going to be throwing like
104
or 105. We're going to see 110 at some point. And I'm like, so how, I didn't even get to ask him, but I'm like, how long are these pitchers going to be in ball games? An inning?
They're going to be in for 45 pitches. And it's because their arms aren't going to be able to take it.
Yeah. Physically, the overhand motion of the baseball pitcher isn't natural anyways.
Dudes break their arms throwing baseballs, literally. Like, I've watched plenty of guys breaking their humerus just throwing a baseball.
Yeah, softball's a little more natural. You still can have injuries with any type of repetitive motion that you do consistently. You can have injuries with. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a drawback to your simple approach to the game. Not instead of looking at all the data and looking at your swing and overanalyzing it, it's going to come back to just grassroots. Like, all right, there's going to be a happy medium, I should say. Like, I think in the training realm, data is still going to be around a lot, which is where it should stay. Once it gets out on the ball field, like, it's not 1v1, 9v9, and you are facing off against that guy when you come up to the plate or you're on the mound. And if he gets you out, all right, what adjustments can I make? I'm not going to look at my swing on video in between at bats, which a bunch of the older guys were telling the younger guys that this year at the major league rosters. And, you know, I think guys perform better when they stop thinking about their swing as much.
We're
and
overanalyzing it.
Yeah. Guess what? So I had it on in the background while I was working this morning. I was watching Moneyball this morning.
Oh, yeah. That's such a good movie.
Love that movie.
Man.
Love that movie.
That is
which is the start of, like, everything that we're talking about. So
yeah, and that is where I think the game of baseball became very nuanced. And, like, there was a lot of, like, muscle building and stuff like that. That's where the steroid era came from. But, like, there was a lot of brute force that was kind of being brought into the game. And now the Oakland Athletics are subverting expectations by doing something with numbers. Like, all of a sudden, this idea that we could use numbers to advance the game became, like, this holy, like,
holy grail.
Yeah. Now the game is going to have to revert to a spot where we're not doing it. Like Mason said, they might revert back to just going old school and not having to look at their swings to where they're distracting themselves or, you know, having to think about so much where they're not even ready for a fastball. Like, because these guys are going to have to be ready for fastballs if they are going to be getting thrown 104-mile-an-hour fastballs from 4 different pitchers in a game because they can't throw more than 3 innings. So
I mean, all the pitchers know that most of these guys can't, based off of the data, like, can't hit that high fastball. Yeah, because their swings with launch angle and everything are programmed to only hit middle or lower. Yeah, so, like,
nobody swings down on the ball. I think the only testament I have for my baseball, like, career was that I could hit any pitch. Yeah. Like, I could foul off any pitch that you threw to me. I would be, like, in at bats longer than anybody. But one thing that Mason told me, and this is the best compliment I think I've ever been given from him. Mason said that he's never seen somebody hit the ball harder on the ground or harder line drives than me.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, really? And it was just because I didn't realize this, but I had such a kind of down level plain swing. I wasn't trying to hit home runs. I knew I couldn't. Yeah. I was trying to beat out everything. I was trying to hit that ball. If you were a third baseman, I was trying to hit that ball off of your ankle on a line drive. I wanted that ball of your ankle to get swollen up for some stupid reason.
What the heck, man?
As a baseball,
whatever that thought is, just like me circling the mound, like, whatever keeps you engaged.
You were a stormtrooper. You were on the mound.
Come on, I'm not. I'm on the good guys, man.
Okay, clone trooper there. Happy.
Whatever.
Either way, you were very, like, you were all business, and I thought, I mean, that's intimidating for most players, especially on the Spring Lake Park side. When I look over at the bench and I see Steven Erlinson sweating, I'm like, bro, we know him. Like, why are you upset? Like, and Steven was a head case. Yeah. I love that kid to death. He was I
haven't seen him for quite a few years.
When he hit the home run that he hit in Waseca, I lost my freaking mind. He hit this home run that was a no-doubter in every major league ballpark.
Oh, wow.
100%. And they had, in Waseca, we were playing at the old semi-pro field that burned down.
Oh, wow.
Coach Holmgren brought us
Oh,
there.
yeah. I
can't remember the field now.
Well, no, Tink, right?
Tink or something.
Tink was the guy. I forget his name, but
they would back their trucks up, their truck beds up to the back of the fence, and they would have, like, 21-year-old dudes drinking, and they were heckling the right fielder. My favorite part was the guy in right field for us was Dean Pope.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's gonna talk some crap back,
and
for sure.
Do you remember Dean Pope didn't like me?
Oh, okay.
Dean Pope hated me, like, with a fiery passion.
Yeah.
Like, so much so that he wanted to fight me every game. And we're on the same team. But he was getting heckled all game.
Oh no.
All game. And I just, like, I can't tell him to stop. I'm in
Yeah.
center field, and if I say anything, Dean's going to want to kill me. So I was just like,
Yeah. For sure.
good luck, buddy. Like,
Yeah.
have fun. But then, yeah, watching Steven Erlinson hit a home run over those guys going,
That's great.
I
I
was
didn't know he had that power on him.
I didn't know either until then. All of a sudden, I was like, who got him angry? Like,
Yeah.
what happened?
Must have been those guys in the right.
That's maybe. He was playing first base that day. He was probably hearing it. So,
yeah.
Where can listeners find you online? Every time somebody asks that question, we never get your side.
Yeah, so I do have a personal Instagram, but that got hacked months ago, so I have not been on it.
What?
Yeah, man. Actually, one of our players who trains with us, he got hacked, and then I got hacked because we were messaging on Instagram. I don't know. There's a lot of cyber stuff going out there these days. So I don't even have, like, my personal Instagram's up there, and nobody, even the hacker doesn't even use it. But then I have it's just there. Like, it's like a archive. It's an archive library of me up until, I don't know.
What did the hacker post?
No, he just got in there. I had to make sure that my payment accounts were off of there.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Because they're trying to get money and things like that. And apparently, I've heard, like, sometimes they come in and they'll take the page and then try and sell it back to you to get it.
You're like, I don't care. It's Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. I actually am glad because I don't. I mean, I like it for, like, own personal brand stuff, but I just use the Complete Athlete page. So if you ever get, I mean, all the stuff posted on Complete Athlete page, like, that's where you can find me, Complete Athlete MN.
And CompleteAthleteTraining.com if you really want to get into the nitty gritty. That's where anybody can reach you, really.
Yeah, you can contact us on there, book sessions through there, and we'll contact you via email or phone. And then what else? We need to, create a Complete Athlete Twitter page. I'll probably put one of the coaches on that who likes that type of stuff. Put Mason on it.
Yeah, Mason.
Does he go on Twitter?
He goes on Twitter.
Oh, I don't. I look at stuff that's, like, sent to me. Actually, he just sent me something the other day. Okay, that makes sense.
Mason. Yeah, we already found it. Mason.
There we go.
I mean, I could be the social media manager, but I got a lot going on my plate. This is easy to produce, though, for me, because, like, I already have most of the equipment.
Yeah.
But once we get this more souped up, trust me, this is going to be a fun. If you have your own facility too, we can just leave it there too. It'll be able to be just used whenever you guys want to start producing something.
We'll probably have a room for that, and then we can kind of have a mobile podcast, like, whatever, and wheel it out to do drills and things like that.
That would be so cool, because that was the pitch that I had to you. Yeah, was that we could get that.
Think we still can do that or no?
I think we could. I mean, I would have to find a table, but then, like, the main thing is getting more cameras, and I think I talked to you about that.
Well, we got the tripods all back there. I mean, we got enough.
Yeah. So I have a good feeling about it. I just got to get more cameras for the production style here, because what I want to do is have 3 cameras, one pointed at guest here, where it's like if you're talking, it's only you on screen instead of having to do cuts, it just makes things a lot easier. Trust me, editing software wise too. It's a lot on the computer to do zooms and stuff like that, as much as I've been trying to do for, like, an hour-long podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, we were going to do the Zoom thing. But other than that, find me or email me at Gabe at CompleteAthleteTraining.com. Yep.
Well, I'm producer Taylor. For those of you guys who don't know, I've been helping produce this podcast.
Yeah, did we even introduce you at the start?
I don't think so. That's okay. That's totally fine.
Well, you were the interviewer here, so it was all up to you.
Yeah. I kind of drove the ship, but that's okay.
It's all good. Taylor Price, he, we appreciate everything that he's doing, putting this together, producing the videos, putting them on YouTube. Like, definitely appreciate that.
That's my repertoire. That's what I got good at when I wasn't playing baseball. After I hurt the shoulder, I just dove into another thing, and that's what I think. That's the athlete mindset that I had was. What else can I get into? So I got into, started my own podcast, the Taylor Price Podcast. If you guys want to go listen to that, it's a little more explicit. So if you are a kid watching this, just know that. Don't do what I say. Don't listen to all of the words that I say. Yeah. But I wanted to help produce this podcast because I can see this thing going a long way. I think I can see branding. I can see behind the scenes videos. I could see Sam Crick having his own little segment of funny things happening, because that dude's interesting. I don't know where you found him, but man.
I found him at an Oak Ramsey, so we played together there. We actually didn't even get into my whole college career or anything like that,
right.
which is fine. We'll have to do another episode. But
well, on the on the other podcasts that we've had too, you've talked about some of that too.
Oh
So
yeah, I forget about that.
I do want to go
I
into
forget
that,
I'm
though.
on every episode.
You are. You're the host of every episode. You do a really good job of that. I want to commend you for that, because as somebody from the production side, I was wondering, what your comfort level was going to be with that. So that was really cool to see that you're just like, hey man, let's just talk, and like that's what it should be. You should just be able to chat with the coaches and the kids that you guys are going to have on here. That'll be so much fun to watch.
Yeah, excited for the next interview with our guest, first player ever on the podcast. So
how soon is he texting you? How soon can we get him in here? Because I'm excited too.
I'm sure he's waiting right outside right now. So thanks for coming on. Thanks for being on here, Taylor.
Well, thank you for letting me interview you. Thank you for letting me talk you into starting the podcast. I mean, this is something that I hope goes a long way. So
it will. Thanks, man.
You're the man.
See ya.